Hey, what's up my fish tank guys and girls? Now, have you been thinking about starting your very own saltwater aquarium for some time now, but you're not actually sure where to start, and you're also not sure if you'd be able to be successful? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can definitely do it, and this is going to be the perfect beginner tank to get you started. So if you visited my channel before, you already know what this tank is. This is the Fluval EVO 13.5 gallon all-in-one aquarium. Now, before I get into all of the reasons as to why I think this is the perfect beginner saltwater tank, I'm just gonna let you know that I'm gonna split this video up into 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be about the tank itself. Why did I choose this tank over the others? What others are out there? And what do I feel this has in terms of advantages over those other choices? The second part is going to be about upgrades. If you start to look up this tank, you're going to see a lot of videos and a lot of people chattering about what upgrades that you should do when you own this aquarium. I actually have multiple videos on my own channel about what upgrades I performed. So we're going to talk about that in part 2. And part 3 is going to be about what it will take for you to be successful with a saltwater aquarium. Now, one thing that's different from a saltwater over a freshwater is that saltwater is not really a set it and forget it type of tank. So we're going to delve into that into part 3 of this video. So let's talk about why I chose this tank. Now, the Fluval EVO here is an all-in-one aquarium, and up until this point in time, I actually thought the BioCube was the perfect starting tank for a beginner. But after owning this tank for a little over a year, I feel like this is going to be the best choice for all of the rookies out there starting in the saltwater hobby, and I'll explain to you why. So much like the BioCube, the Fluval EVO here is an all-in-one aquarium. Now what that means is you're not going to need to add a sump or a second tank for all of your equipment and your filtration. All of that is contained within this tank right here. Now, I know that being a 13.5 gallon aquarium, that volume of water is going to be controversial. A lot of people want beginners to start with a 40 gallon tank or a 50 gallon tank. The BioCube I started with was 29. There's a 16 gallon BioCube tank. But honestly, I feel the 13.5 is just fine. It's manageable. It's easy for water changes. You can do a pretty significant water change with one 5 gallon bucket of salt water. And it's not too small that it will get out of hand very quickly. I feel like 5 gallon tanks are very, very difficult to keep and maintain, but this aquarium has actually been pretty easy to keep up with. So you might be asking, hey fish tank guy, I've seen the budget videos on your channel talking about starting a reef tank on a budget. Why wouldn't you recommend that for a beginner? Well, again, I think that overall this is the best option. It's not going to be the cheapest option. However, there are a few things that do not come with a standard tank that come with this tank here that's going to increase that price point of a budget setup right out of the gate. So there are 3 things this tank has that the standard 10, 15, 20 gallon aquarium do not have. A lid. 2, a hang-on back filter, and D, a light that will support coral growth. So once you add all of those things onto a standard aquarium, let's say a standard 15 gallon size aquarium, you can get one of those for 15 bucks when there are sales going on. Well, you have that, and then you add roughly 70 for a light, you add 25 for a hang-on back filter, you add another 25 for a lid. Now all of a sudden you're roughly $40 to $45 under the price point of this tank, which I haven't mentioned yet. The price point of this tank is anywhere in between $160 to $180, which seems like a high cost of entry, but for what you're getting, it's definitely worth it. So fish tank guy, what about the other all-in-one tanks? How much do they cost? Why don't you recommend them over this aquarium? Well, let's take a look at some of those. The BioCube 16 runs for roughly $340, which is twice the cost of this one. The nice thing with the BioCube 16 is it does include a return pump and lighting and all that good stuff you need, just like this tank, but it is twice as much. Innovative Marine has a tank similar to this one called a Fusion Pro 2, and it costs $300, but the kicker is it doesn't include a light. JBJ has a 15-gallon nano tank similar to this one, another all-in-one aquarium that retails for roughly $250 and again does not come with a light. And Waterbox has a mini 15-gallon Peninsula style tank, very similar to this one, that retails for $200, but again, you guessed it, it doesn't have a light. Now, obviously, when you buy lighting for these aquariums, they can range from, $60 to $70 all the way up to $200, $250. And yes, a lot of people will say, well, if you buy the nicer light, you can keep better coral and different things like that. Well, here's the thing. If you're a beginner and you're just starting out, all you're worried about is softies and LPS. And the light in this tank can easily accommodate softies and LPS corals. So in summary, the reason I chose this tank is because it is an all-in-one. It is a manageable size for performing water changes. It comes with pretty much all the equipment you need to get started other than a heater, and it retails for anywhere between $160 and $180. All of those things combined makes it the excellent, perfect starter tank for a beginner. Now on to part 2. Let's talk about upgrades when it comes to this tank. When you purchase it, you're obviously going to do some Googling and you're going to find some message boards and videos and people talking about upgrades for this tank, and maybe your head will start to spin a little bit. What should you do? Which upgrades are the most important? Do I need to do them right now? Will my tank even work without these upgrades? The answer is, well, the upgrades are beneficial, but no, you don't need to do them right away. So I actually have multiple videos on my channel talking about some of the upgrades that I have added to my Fluval EVO here. However, I don't think any of those are absolutely a requirement when first starting out. So if you do decide to move forward and purchase this tank, don't worry about all the upgrades for right now. Just get it set up, get it cycled, get some sand in there, get some rock in there, and start enjoying your aquarium. If I were to recommend an upgrade to perform first, however, I would definitely go with the in-tank media basket. It makes your water flow through your rear chambers so much better than it is stock out of the box. But again, that's not a requirement right away. So last but not least, let's talk about what you need to do to be successful with a saltwater aquarium. Well, I don't want this video to go on and on, so I'm going to try to keep it short and give you the elevator speech, so to say, when it comes to how you can be successful with a saltwater aquarium. Now, for people that have asked me about starting their own aquarium at home, this is what I tell them. Outside of setting up the tank, you should be able to give the aquarium 5 minutes a day of your time. 5 minutes, that's right. I actually have a video on my channel talking about daily routines when it comes to saltwater and reef tanks. That is an excellent video. I will link it in the description below, where I kind of go through the most important things that you should do on a daily basis to make sure your aquarium stays healthy and you have a nice environment for your fish and coral. So what else is there in addition to that 5 minutes per day? Well, when it comes to saltwater tanks, you need to perform water changes fairly often, especially when compared to freshwater tanks. Now, for larger aquariums, you can get away with doing water changes every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks. But for a tank of this size, a smaller aquarium, you're going to want to perform water changes weekly. Now, that might seem a little daunting at first, but once you get used to doing them, they shouldn't take you all that long. I would say you set aside roughly an hour a week to perform water changes, but once you get better at them, maybe they'll only take maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, that kind of thing. However, these water changes are critical for keeping your tank stable and, making sure gunk and detritus and yucky stuff doesn't build up inside the tank. So once again, I'm the Fish Tank Guy. Thank you so much for checking out my channel and checking out this video. If you have any questions, if you're considering starting your own saltwater tank, please feel free to shoot me a message. You can do it on Twitter or Instagram. You can even put a comment in the comment section below. Quite a few people have reached out to me and asked me for advice when it came to starting their own tank at home. And like I said, you can definitely do it. This is an excellent tank to get you there with a little bit of dedication. 5 minutes a day, 1 hour every week. I think you can be successful and you'll be really happy with the end product and what you have in your home to look at and enjoy. So I hope this video was helpful. I'm gonna have a link down in the description below to the Fluval EVO aquarium here, and maybe a few other things like some other supplemental videos and things that might help you if you're starting out. But that's all I've got for now. So until a future Fish Tank Guy video, I will see you guys soon.